Hello everyone. Welcome to One More Thing. I'm Matt. Have you ever come across individuals who seem to possess an unwavering confidence in their abilities, despite their lack of knowledge? It's a puzzling phenomenon that has intrigued psychologists for years. Today, we dive into the intriguing concept of the Doc effect, shedding light on why the less informed often exhibit an overwhelming sense of self-assurance. What is Doc effect? The Doc effect is a psychological phenomenon that refers to the tendency for people to be overconfident when they lack knowledge in a certain field. This phenomenon was first proposed by social psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger in a 1999 study and named after the Dunning effect. In the Doc effect, people tend to overestimate their abilities and knowledge levels and ignore their own shortcomings and flaws. They may be overconfident about a problem or task in a particular domain and show poor results in actual situations. This self-confidence is often based on a wrong assessment of their own abilities because they lack sufficient knowledge and experience to truly understand their shortcomings. A typical characteristic of the Doc effect is the lack of metacognition, that is, the ability to accurately assess one's own cognitive processes and abilities. This lack of awareness can lead people to underestimate their level of ignorance and fail to recognize their lack of knowledge and skills in a particular area. Instead, their self-confidence may stem from a one-sided and inaccurate assessment of their abilities. The Doc effect does not mean that all people who lack knowledge will exhibit overconfident behavior, but it reveals a widespread trend. This phenomenon can occur in all fields, whether it is science, finance, politics, or other intellectual fields. That is, when people have limited knowledge about a domain, they are more likely to develop an unrealistic sense of confidence that can lead to poor decisions or poor performance. By understanding the concept and definition of the Doc effect, we can better understand the phenomenon of why some people exhibit extreme confidence despite limited knowledge or ignorance. In the following paragraphs, we will further explore the relationship between the Doc effect and cognitive biases, as well as the psychological factors between confidence and ignorance. The relationship between cognitive bias and Doc effect. There is a close relationship between the Doc effect and cognitive biases, which refer to errors or illogical tendencies in people's thinking and decision-making processes. These cognitive biases can affect our assessment of our abilities, knowledge, and judgment, leading to the Doc effect. One cognitive bias related to the Doc effect is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias refers to people's tendency to seek and accept information that is consistent with their existing beliefs and opinions, while ignoring or rejecting information that contradicts it. When someone has limited knowledge about a field, they may only look for information that supports their existing opinions and use it as evidence to support their own self-confidence. This selective attentional bias can bolster their sense of self-confidence, even though the information may not be comprehensive or accurate. Another cognitive bias related to the Doc effect is the excessive optimism bias. Excessive optimism bias refers to people's overly optimistic predictions about future outcomes and their tendency to overestimate their abilities and likelihood of success. When people have limited knowledge of a domain, they may become overconfident in their ability to successfully solve problems or achieve good results, ignoring potential risks and challenges. This over-optimism bias can lead them to underestimate their level of ignorance, making them more prone to exhibit the Doc effect. In addition, cognitive biases such as selective memory and cognitive dissonance may also be related to the Doc effect. Selective memory refers to the fact that we are more likely to remember and recall information that is consistent with our existing views, while ignoring information that contradicts it. Cognitive dissonance is the internal inconsistency and tension that develops when our actions are inconsistent with our beliefs or values. To mitigate cognitive dissonance, people may exhibit the Doc effect by overemphasizing their own perspectives and abilities. To sum up, there is a close relationship between the Doc effect and cognitive bias. When people face limited knowledge or ignorance, they are often affected by cognitive biases such as confirmation bias, over-optimism bias, selective memory, and cognitive dissonance, causing them to exhibit overconfident behavior. Understanding these cognitive biases can help us better understand our own limitations, improve our objective assessment of our abilities and knowledge, and avoid falling into the trap of the Doc effect. The psychological factors of confidence and ignorance. A range of psychological factors exist between confidence and ignorance that may explain why people exhibit overconfident behavior in the face of limited knowledge or ignorance. First of all, the knowledge blind spot and cognitive bias is an important psychological factor. Knowledge blind spots refer to people's lack of understanding or incomplete understanding of knowledge and information in a certain field. When people are in a knowledge blind zone, they may not realize their ignorance because they do not understand the scope and importance of the knowledge they lack. This lack of awareness leads them to be overconfident in their abilities, thus exhibiting the Doc effect. Secondly, the psychological defense mechanism is also one of the psychological factors between self-confidence and ignorance. Psychological defense mechanism is an unconscious psychological strategy that people adopt in order to protect their self-esteem and psychological balance. When people confront their own ignorance or inadequacy, they may use defense mechanisms to counteract the threat. One of these is the arrogance mechanism, which involves exaggerating one's abilities and knowledge to conceal one's ignorance. This arrogance mechanism makes people have a false self-confidence, which makes them over-evaluate their own abilities, which leads to the appearance of the duck effect. Additionally, social comparison affects the relationship between confidence and ignorance. People tend to evaluate their abilities and knowledge by comparing them to others. When they discover that their knowledge in a certain area is limited relative to others, they may experience insecurity and low self-esteem. In order to restore their self-esteem and confidence, they may overemphasize their abilities and ignore their ignorance. The influence of this social comparison can exacerbate the emergence of the duck effect. Finally, emotions and psychological states are also important psychological factors between confidence and ignorance. Research shows that positive emotions and a good mental state can increase people's sense of self-confidence, while negative emotions and bad mental states may weaken self-confidence. When people are in a positive emotional state, they are more likely to be overconfident in their abilities and knowledge. Conversely, when people are in a negative emotional state, such as anxiety, stress, or self-doubt, they may be more likely to recognize their own ignorance and inadequacies. To sum up, the psychological factors between confidence and ignorance include knowledge blind spots, psychological defense mechanisms, social comparisons, and emotional and psychological states. Understanding these factors helps us better understand why people exhibit overconfident behaviors despite limited or ignorant knowledge, and reminds us to remain objective and humble when assessing our own abilities and knowledge. The ways to overcome the duck effect. To overcome the duck effect, there are methods and strategies we can adopt to improve our objective assessment of our abilities and knowledge and reduce our tendency to overconfidence. First, we should continue to learn and increase our knowledge. By continuously learning and accumulating knowledge, we can alleviate our knowledge blind spots and improve our understanding of specific fields. By reading widely, participating in discussions, and being exposed to different points of view, we can gain more comprehensive and objective information and avoid focusing only on what agrees with our own views. Continuous learning and expanding knowledge can help us better understand our own limitations, thereby reducing the occurrence of the duck effect. Secondly, encouraging and accepting feedback and criticism from others is also an effective method. When others offer different viewpoints or point out our mistakes, we should accept them with an open mind and seriously consider their opinions. Rather than viewing feedback as an attack on one's abilities, view it as an opportunity to grow and improve. By accepting feedback from others, we can better understand where we fall short and work to improve and learn. Additionally, maintaining humility and self-reflection are keys to overcoming the duck effect. Being aware of your own ignorance and limitations is a valuable quality. Being humble means we are able to admit our shortcomings and be willing to learn from others. Self-reflection means regularly reflecting on your own actions and decisions, examining biases and mistakes, and looking for opportunities for improvement. By practicing humility and self-reflection, we can more objectively assess our abilities and knowledge and avoid falling into the trap of overconfidence. In addition, establishing good teamwork and partnerships is also one of the important strategies to overcome the duck effect. Working and communicating with others can provide different perspectives and experiences, helping us see problems more fully. Working with people with different abilities and knowledge can complement and learn from each other, reducing the impact of personal subjective biases. Through teamwork, we can work together to leverage our respective strengths and achieve better results. To sum up, to overcome the duck effect, we can improve our objective assessment of our abilities and knowledge by continuing to learn and increase our knowledge. Accepting feedback and criticism from others, maintaining humility and self-reflection, and building good teamwork. These approaches can help us better recognize our limitations and reduce our tendency to overconfidence, thereby improving the accuracy and effectiveness of our decision-making and performance. The duck effect is a ubiquitous psychological phenomenon that reveals the tendency of people to exhibit overconfidence in situations of limited knowledge or ignorance. In this article, we explore the psychological factors between confidence and ignorance and suggest some methods and strategies for overcoming the duck effect. Psychological factors between confidence and ignorance include knowledge blind spots, psychological defense mechanisms, social comparisons, and emotional and psychological states. Knowing these factors can help us better understand why people fall into the trap of overconfidence and be objective and humble when assessing their abilities and knowledge. To overcome the duck effect, we can adopt a range of methods and strategies. Continuous learning and increasing knowledge can help us make up for our knowledge blind spots and improve our understanding of specific fields. Accepting feedback and criticism from others can help us become aware of our own shortcomings and look for opportunities to improve. Being humble and self-reflective allows us to more objectively assess our abilities and knowledge. Additionally, building good teamwork and partnerships can provide diverse perspectives and experiences, reducing the impact of individual subjective biases. By adopting these methods and strategies, we can gradually overcome the duck effect and improve the accuracy and effectiveness of our decisions and performance. It's important to recognize your limitations and continue to strive to learn and grow. Staying humble, open, and cautious will help us understand the world more fully, collaborate with others, and make smarter decisions. Therefore, by recognizing and dealing with the psychological factors of self-confidence and ignorance, we can better develop our abilities and knowledge and achieve better results in various fields. Overcoming the duck effect is an important psychological challenge, but through continuous effort and reflection, we can gradually improve our self-knowledge and achieve personal and professional growth. The video ends here. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and sharing. We will bring you more valuable videos. See you next time.